guys on my father's side of the family because there weren't any, which is a good thing because he and I are not that close. My mother's side of the family, however, had all the relatives, and there weren't that many of them, but there was my grandfather. My grandfather was someone that my father never was. He was someone who would walk with you, not ahead of you. He lived in Las Vegas, Nevada. I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I was the middle of 5 girls, and so I was able to go up to Las Vegas by myself and visit my grandparents and get spoiled and be an only child for 2 weeks. It was really cool. And he and I would go to McDonald's, and I could have anything like a Big Mac to myself. We would eat watermelon at his bar in the kitchen, and he would give me half the watermelon, and we both would salt it. I don't know if any of you salt your melon, but it's really good. You should try it. I would pour so much salt on it would actually start to melt the watermelon down. And I would sit at the bar and eat my watermelon with him. He was an amateur photographer, so he would take pictures of me, so I'd pose, and it wasn't weird or anything. And I would pose, and he's really one of the few people who's ever taken a good picture of me, because I am absolutely not photogenic at all, so please don't. He and I, he had a rock fountain in the back, and he would turn it on, and we'd go sit by the rock fountain. He was just my favorite person in the whole wide world. He loved his job. He was a civil engineer, and he would look at me and be like, I loved every day I went to work. And I'm like, how lucky is that? How many of us are able to really love our job and what we do? Because I don't. He also, when I came out, he was a hobbyist. And so he made things, and one of them was dildos. And he gave me my own set of wooden dildos when I came out, when me and my girlfriend went to go visit him, and he's like, have a good time with these? And I'm like, thanks. I have to confess I never used them, though, because, that would be weird. He was also extremely organized, and his writing, because of his civil engineer, was very legible, and he was also our go-to person, so if you needed to borrow money, you could go to him, and he would keep a ledger, and he would charge you interest and send you monthly statements to tell you what he owed you, and said, when he dies, if you're still in the red, well, it's coming out. There's subtraction is going to happen. So, you just want to make sure that you paid everything back. Well, he had asthma all of his life, but continued through. And he was 80 when he handed me the dildos, which is saying quite a lot. But he was in his 90s and was getting a little bit feeble, and said he would never wanted to go to a home, that he wanted to leave his house fate first when he went. And he and my grandmother still lived in their little concrete house on Long Ridge Avenue in Las Vegas, Nevada, and with the air conditioning off and the heat on, which was awesome to go visit them in the summer. And because they were cold, and they'd have some soup. It's like, thanks. But he was, and he started to fail. His health started to fail, and all of us, and we called him Geepaw because my oldest sister had a speech impediment, a little bit better than mine, and so she couldn't say grandpa, so Geepaw was, I was like, great, because I couldn't say half of the letters in that word anyway. And, so Geepaw, we had a woman, Alexis, came and stayed with them. And he started to go down, his health started to fail pretty quickly, and it was old age. he was 96, and he was starting to go down. Yeah, I know, right? And except he was so stubborn, so stubborn, and Mr. Controlling about everything. So Alexis is calling everyone saying, I think he's starting to really shut down, and he's not eating really much anymore, and he's hardly getting out of bed. He doesn't have the strength to get up or anything. So she's sitting in her bedroom, which is the room that we used to stay at when we'd go visit. It was my own personal sanctuary. I very clean. And she was laying and watching TV one night, and all of a sudden she sees my grandfather's naked butt, because, thank you, Frayne. But but he had on a little robe, but it was open in the back, so he wasn't completely naked at 96, like down the hall, no. But, so he had his walker, and she's like, oh my God, Wayne, and there's my grandfather zipping down the hallway at 96, takes his walker down the hallway. She sees him zip around into the kitchen, and here's the garage door close. She goes out to the garage to see him kneeling on the ground behind the car, the Ford LTD, looking at the sticker on the license plate, because he had been up in arms and kept waking up going, did somebody change the tabs? Has somebody changed the tabs on the car? She's like, Mr. Rader, what the hell are you doing out there? And he's like, he looked and saw that the tabs had been changed. She got him up, moved him in. He went back to his walker, walked all the way down the hall, and the next morning passed away while he was taking his nap, because the tabs had been changed. And he walked through the door. Thank you.